Hello.
Hello. Hi,
Can you hear?
Apex.
How are you doing?
I'll just switch off my video just to have some
Okay,
bandwidth.
sure. And let me quickly check about how to go about doing the presentation.
Sure.
Application window. So that's one. Can't I share on Opera? Can I? Okay, Opera tab. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay. So let's quickly just check. Can you see my shared screen?
It's coming up. Yes, I do. I see your
Okay.
video. Yeah.
Perfect. And how do I stop the share? This stopped already.
It stopped. Yes, it just stopped.
Okay. All right. And application window. Let's quickly check. No, it did not. Okay. Try it again.
What are you trying to do, Apeksha?
Sharing a PowerPoint slide.
Okay.
It's not sharing somehow.
You did share a screen, right?
Are you able to see my entire screen?
Yes. I was able to see it some time back. Can you just try it once again?
Okay, so that's one particular application. So you are seeing this now. Not yet, right?
Not
Let
yet.
me switch off my video. Okay, it's coming up. No.
Not yet. I think that's another volunteer who's joining in.
Hi, Apeksha, Snehmi
Hello.
here. Yes,
Hello,
yes, one more volunteer for you.
All right.
You're not able to share the screen, is it?
Apeksha, are you set? Is the sharing working?
No, it's not working actually.
Okay.
So it went off again.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Mm.
Are you trying to share only the app or the entire screen?
I'm trying to share the app.
Okay. What do you want to do the screen, because it just worked for the entire screen? So.
Oh no, I tried to share the app even that point of time, but let's see whichever works quicker.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a screen, because the session that we were into, the entire screen sharing
Can we
worked.
start, or how do you want to do it?
Are you able to? Okay, so let's see. I'm not even able to share my entire screen.
Okay. Can you give it a try again?
Yeah. So entire screen, share. No.
No, Apeksha, do you want to simply
Do you
share
want to
the
leave and join back
presentation with
again?
either of us, and then we can share?
Sorry, I kind of got confused.
Yes,
What? Yeah. Say that again.
Yeah. Do you want to leave the session and join back again, just to make sure?
Let me do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the session, Coaching Outside the Lines by Apeksha Patel. So we're just having some technical glitch, so just bear with us for a couple of minutes.
Entire screen. They're not able to share anything at all.
Let me check. You are planning to share some material or an app?
I'm trying to share the whole screen right now.
Okay.
Right.
No, I was just wondering that while I will try to ask the volunteers that they're having an issue, but do you want to email you if it is going to be a deck or a PPT? You could share, send, and one of us, maybe me or Vinod, could.
I could.
But we are not able to see that picture. We're not seeing the screen.
Are you able to see
I'm
me?
sorry,
though?
what happened?
I'm able to see you. I think you just switched off your video, but I was able to.
No, we are able to see her. We are able to see her. Apeksha, I'm typing my email in the chat window. Are you able to watch the chat?
Let's see.
in the right side, there should be a chat. So you're able to see, right?
Yeah.
So if you want, I'm just typing my email.
Yes.
If you share, I will start sharing the screen. Meanwhile, I'm calling Nanda
So
and
you're
seeing if
sharing the
your
entire
permissions
screen,
are.
right? The
Yeah.
application. Okay.
The entire screen. So while I do this quickly, let me try to refresh the whole session again, just quickly while I do that.
Okay.
Hi.
Apeksha, would it be fine if you share the presentation so that I can help you out from my end? I can share it.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, I've
I'll
already
just,
shared my email
I'll-
in the chat. So if you could
I'll do that. I'll do that.
share that, we'll get started because I've already asked the one in the team to check your if access issues, but
Right. Okay.
did you send it?
Yes. Just about to send it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I have sent it.
Okay. I'm just waiting for it.
Let's see.
Did you send it to Vinod or did you send it to CMI? There were two email
No,
IDs.
I sent it to Snehamai.
Oh, okay.
it's not
Right.
yet coming. No. Oh, yeah, it is there. It is there, just downloading it. Now let me try sharing my screen.
Please. I'm going to mute myself here for a moment.
Sure.
Are you guys able to see my
Yeah.
screen?
Apeksha, can you see the screen?
She's just muted herself, I think.
I can see the screen.
Okay. I think we can get started.
Okay.
If you think, okay. If you think it's all good.
Okay.
So you let me know
Sure.
because I put it in the presentation mode, so I'm not able
Welcome
to see
everyone.
you all. So
We
please.
have for today's speaker, we have Apeksha Patel, who will be talking about coaching color outside the lines. And Apeksha Patel is the Chief Product Officer at Lean Pitch, and she's also a chair for Product Thinking Conference, and also certified Scrum trainer from Scrum Alliance. So Apeksha, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Vinod. Yeah, sorry for those technical glitches that happens. Those are the constraints that we live by and we live in, right? Who knows it better than how we are living today? with the whole situation that we are in. So we are in a very good place. Welcome, everyone. Let me start with my introduction. Sneha, what I'll do is I'll do like this, and maybe you can move on to the next slide.
I can't see really you. Then because I have to have maximized your screen, right? Otherwise,
right. Okay.
So you'll have to tell me. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no worries. We'll do that. Okay. So, of course, our topic today is color outside the lines. You might be wondering what this topic really means, because why would someone want to cover color outside the lines? And that's what we are going to explore today. And how do these things help us be better coaches, right? Better liminal thinkers. So let me start with my introduction. Sneha, you can go to the next one. Thank you. So, as a lot of you already know, I'm Apeksha Patel, and I have close to 18 years of experience in this industry. I'm the first woman certified Scrum trainer in India from Scrum Alliance. I'm also the very first accredited Kanban trainer in India. I practice neuro-linguistic programming, and I'm an ORSC practitioner as well. I have been recently nominated and elected successfully as the board member for Agile Alliance for our next 3 years. Today, I work as a Chief Product Officer at Leanfish, building the e-learning platform. So I'm a product person at heart, but I also believe that I'm a liminal thinker or a systems thinker, where bringing about change is something that's very close to what I work towards. Working closely with the communities and helping communities grow, right? So we are going to explore our topic of today, color outside the lines. Go ahead, Sneha, next one. Okay. A lot of us over here may have been a part of an initiative, a change initiative, whether it's personal change, whether it's organizational change, trying to bring about change at a team level, trying to bring about transformations, big bang transformations, and we would have gone all prepared. We would have gone through all the possible trainings. We would have all the material with us, all the ideas that we want to implement. We would have a list of things to do ready. We know exactly what needs to be done. However, it's not what we really hope for. The outcome is not what we really hope for, right? Why? Because change is not easy. And the change is not easy. Why is it not easy? What makes change so hard? And how are we really going to overcome that immunity that we have developed in ourselves that stops us from changing? That is what we are going to explore today. And we are going to understand about a couple of powerful tools and techniques that we can use to get in that right direction. All right, let's go to the next one. All right. So here is a quote by Albert Einstein. It says, "I must be willing to give up what I am today in order to become what I will be." It's very few, very simple words, but a very powerful statement when put together, right? What we are saying is, in a way, the only constant is change. So why do we resist it? Let me show you an interesting picture that a lot of us might be familiar with. Go ahead, move on to the next one, Sneha. Oh, do you know this guy? That's the famous Sheldon Cooper. And he hates change, right? And in fact, right now, if you see what he's doing is he's sitting in his spot. No one can take over that spot from him because that's a change and he does not like change. If you notice, all of us have a part or a small Sheldon who hates change inside of us. Think of a simple situation. If we are following the specific routine in a day, and if someone comes and tells us that, okay, instead of taking a specific route, try to take a different route. Even that makes us feel uncomfortable because change is not comfortable, right? And we hate change because we are in a comfort zone. We don't really want to be rattled. We don't really want our status quo to be challenged. We don't really trust the outcomes. There is fear of unknown. So how do we overcome this fear of unknown? But let's talk about this guy Sheldon, why he has changed so much. And Sneha, would you be able to share a quick video if I share the link with you in the chat group?
Let me try.
Yeah, so let me quickly share a link, and I would like you to play it till 1 minute 30 seconds. Okay, so let me ping.
Let me try. I have shared my whole screen to you, so hopefully it's easy at this point. Have you shared?
Yes, I just pinged on the chat.
Yes. And you want me to run it till 1 minute 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Let me go here.
Thank you.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes. We also have an ad.
Yes.
All right. We can't really hear it though. No, I don't think that's working. So that's okay. I can tell you what's going on. So if you have seen this episode, this is probably the second last episode of The Big Bang Theory before the finale. And over there, you see Amy, Sheldon's girlfriend, whom he married later on, she's completely changed and he has just freaked out. He wants things to go back to normal because he believes there was only one thing that was constant in his life, and that was her. And if she's changing, everything is changing. And that makes him uncomfortable. So why do we feel uncomfortable? Why do we not like to change? So let's quickly understand that. Sneha, we can go back to the presentation.
Are you able to see
All
my
right.
screen?
So what we see over here, it's like, are we seeing things upside down or are we seeing it right through it? It looks very weird because if you notice, the actual image that we are trying to see is upside down. Whereas when you see through the prism, when you see this crystal ball, the image is completely inverted. Here is a fact. That's our perception, how we look at things. And we look at things based on our belief systems. These belief systems have been built over a period of time, based on our experiences that we had had, based on the information that we see around us, based on the environment that we have grown up in, how we have interacted with the people, what type of feedback we have received. And based on these, we kind of create a perception or mental model about, or an image of someone or something, right? And everything that we look at is through this filter or through this image that we have created in our minds. It's very much like this crystal ball that we are seeing over here. The actual picture is inverted, but in reality, what we see is straight. So what I'm trying to say is we have mental models, and these mental models play a huge role in how we respond in situations, right? However, mental models change. Again, these mental models change based on, again, some new experiences that we might have had, or when we get exposed to a new type of working environment, or when we interact, or when someone gives us some new information or data that's verified. And it's not only what data it is, but it is also about who is giving us the data that plays a huge role in how we respond to that change, right? So let's move on to the next one. Yeah. So if at all, we say, if we want to make this transformation, whether it is a personal transformation, whether it's a professional transformation, if at all we want to make this transformation successful, we have to understand the purpose. because purpose kills procedure. Why do I say that? When we're talking about bringing change, there are different types of changes, and we're going to talk about that in detail. In short, there is something called as a technical change, and then there is something called as adaptive change. Now, when we talk about technical changes, we are talking about following a certain step of actions that we might want to take, or we have a list or a checklist of things to do, and we believe that following these things is going to help us bring about that vision or that goal that we want to achieve. However, there is a different type of change, which is adaptive. And if we really want to improve as individuals, if we really want to be successful in our transformations, we want to make sure that we are getting into the mode of adaptive change. That is changing the way we think, changing the way we respond in situations, changing our mental models, right? So how do we go about it? As I was saying, if at all we want to change, the first thing that we need to understand is the vision. What exactly do we really want to work towards? What's our goal? What's our vision? What's our commitment? And this commitment that we are talking about should implicate us. Something that we are strongly connected to, something that we are aligned to, the big purpose of the big picture. Having that commitment is important, but it's also important to understand how are we going to measure it. So we might have to have certain KPIs or key progress indicators that can actually help us see our progress towards the change. So there are different types of tools that we can use for it. Of course, there is the 5 whys. However, when we start using 5 whys, we might easily get into blame frame. And bringing about change using blame frame might not be the greatest of the ideas because people are different. And as we say, people respond differently to change. So we might want to get into outcome frame. And one of the tools that I use very, very much, if we can move on to the next one, Samaya, is uncovering the vision of commitment. I call it as the ladder of house. And this ladder of house helps us uncover the purpose. So some time back, I was working with one of the teammates, and then she said that we want to start using Scrum in our organization. Can you help us adopt Scrum? That is one of the things that we do today. Move to Agile. Thinking about Scrum as Agile, adopting Scrum will solve the problems, but we don't really understand the purpose. So we start uncovering the purpose. How can Scrum really help us achieve the goals that we have? And what is the goal that we want to achieve in the first place? So I started asking this question, how does adopting Scrum help? And her answer was, oh, it will help us collaborate better because Scrum helps us self-organize. And how does self-organizing help us improve? How does it really help? Well, if we start self-organizing and if we start collaborating, we might be able to resolve issues quickly. And how does resolving issues quickly help us? Well, it might help us build our features faster. And if we build the features faster, we might be able to get it done faster, get it reviewed by the product owner faster. And how would that help? Well, it will help us reduce our development cycle, which means we'll be able to deliver incrementally, more frequently, and continuously. And how would that help? Maybe it will help us to reach a stage of continuous delivery. And how would that help? It will help us as a team, as an organization, to be able to cater to what customer needs more quickly. And how would that help? Customer happiness, more projects from the customers, and so on and so forth. So if you notice, starting from we want to adopt Scrum and going up the ladder to see that big picture of what's the real purpose. The purpose is we want to make sure that we are creating a brand and we are providing quality product to our customers so that they can be successful. Now that change of thought process, if you notice about the technical and the adaptive change over here that I was talking about, remember technical change, Scrum is a framework, we can follow it. There are certain events that help us uncover the problems. But if you really want to be successful, you have to inspect and adapt. The change has to be adaptive. We have to be empirical. And adaptive change is not easy. Technical change might be easy. However, it may not give us results, whether it is personal, whether it is professional, right? So adaptive change is what helps us move in the direction of coloring outside the lines. What does that mean? See, when we talk about any type of transformation, personal or organizational transformation, we always believe, typically, that we have to operate under those constraints. Adaptive change and liminal thinking skills help us go beyond those constraints, break those boundaries, and in fact exploit those constraints to figure out better ways of getting things done. So coloring outside the lines is going beyond those boundaries, going for an act of random change. We don't know how and what that is going to lead, but it's an experiment, and we want to learn from that experiment. So that curiosity, that intensity, and the willingness to change gets developed. And how do we instigate that? How do we make sure that we can get started in that direction? So first thing you already taught, uncover the purpose. Move on to the next one, Sehamid. Thank you. One of the tools that we can use is immunity map. This is initially when it all started off with individual change. And now you can use this immunity map to even bring about team changes, organizational level changes. So if I had to kind of tell you in a very condensed form about what this map talks about, is what makes us immune. It helps us uncover that. So if you notice, the first thing, even here, it says, what's your commitment? What's the purpose? What is the change that we want to bring about? The next, we say, okay, so now that we understand this is what we want, how committed are we to that change? How strongly do we feel about that change? And what and how would we get implicated if the change is not successful? So we are kind of creating a very, very objectified purpose and commitment that we are identifying. Once we do that, we identify what are those different things that we may be doing or we may not be doing that is stopping us from achieving that commitment. So we list all of those things, and then we identify, okay, so our commitment is for this change. However, there might be certain competing commitments which are acting completely in opposite to the commitment that we are making. And these competing commitments are stopping us from achieving our goals. And what is causing those competing commitments? These are the big assumptions. In effect, what are big assumptions? These are our mental models. These are our perceptions, our thought process, our belief system that can actually color the way we look at things. That's one way. So the first thing, if you notice, the whole map is helping us create the transparency and visibility of the change that we want to bring about, and what is the assumption, that big assumption that's stopping us from getting there, right? Let's move on to the next one. Another model that I would like to talk about is how do we go about, so what's that uncovering of the purpose and identification of the perception is done, how do we go about facilitating change? The fact is, there is no silver bullet, right? We have to understand the context. We have to understand the person we are working with. We also have to understand what influences these people to change. Now, influencing with authority is something that we can try out. However, we also know that we cannot really bring about change with force, because that's temporary. So how do we want to make sure that the change that we are bringing is sustainable as well? If we want to do that, we have to make sure that the people who are working with us, they are becoming ambassadors of this change. And how do we go about doing that? This model that you see over here is called a SPA. Well, it is called a SPA for a reason, right? It has the desired effect over there. So how do we do that? Well, I practice a lot of neuro-linguistic programming, and NLP says that, of course, in fact, there are so many different types of people in this world. There are process people, then there are story people, there are data people. What do I mean? Story people are such type of people. If you want to really influence them, you have to tell them with the things that they connect. They connect with stories. They connect with the empathy and the emotion associated with the stories. So if we have to work with this type of people, we might have to use a different influencing strategy. At the same time, if we are working with data type of people, we have to figure out different ways of gathering information and showcasing that data, right? And then using that to help them change. There are process type of people. You have to help them understand how exactly things work, exactly when and what are things going to unfold. How are they going to unfold? Unless and until they know, they don't really buy that idea. So obviously, all these different types of people are there. But if I had to broadly categorize types of people, I would say there are something called as stay away type of people, and then something called as move towards type of people. Now, talking about the move towards type of people, such type of people, they easily buy the idea if you tell them the benefits of doing something. Say, for example, let's take the instance for Scrum. If we say, okay, if you adopt Scrum, so and so are the benefits that you're going to get. Or if you talk about a personal change, let's say if you start becoming fitter, then it is going to help you sustain, it is help you going to build your immunity, and then you might not be impacted by the pandemic as a lot of us get impacted by that. So such type of people are move towards type of people, which means it is easy to sell the solution to them, but you have to showcase the benefits of doing something so that they can buy that solution. That is possible if they are move towards type of people. However, if there are people which are stay away types of people, for such type of people, no matter how much data, no matter how much information we give to them, no matter how much we try to influence them with details, they don't buy the problem, which means they don't consider it as a problem in the first place. So no matter how many benefits we are going to tell them about doing it, it does not matter. So for such type of people, unfortunately, showcasing the benefits may not be a great idea because they don't buy the problem. For such type of people, we have to prove that it's a problem. And once we prove the problem, or once we have helped those people understand the benefits, we have to address the constraints. Remember we were talking about constraints, the systemic issues, something that stops us from getting the job done successfully. And one of the biggest systemic issue that we have is our perceptions, is our mental models that stop us from becoming liminal thinkers. So SPA model that we use over here, of course, there are so many different techniques that fall under this in-depth it is. But this is something that helps you get started in that direction, right? So here's an interesting fact. When you're working with move towards type of people, since it is easy to influence them, and again, when I say easy, it's not about like they're going to change overnight, but you have to help them understand that benefit. There are so many different ways of influencing people without authority. One of the things that we talked about is information, data, right? If we provide them the right data, that can influence them to change. And the data not from somewhere in the industry or not from what someone else did, by within their environment, someone very close to them, someone whom they trust. Remember one of the things that we say, change is hard when we don't trust the outcome, when we don't know what's going to happen. So what we are saying is if we really want to influence such type of people to change, we have to help them understand the benefits have to be twice as much higher as the difficulties or the opposition that they might face when they really want to change. So that is one way of doing it. That is when we are working with stay away type of people. Sorry, move towards type of people. If we are working with stay away type of people, interestingly, since they don't consider it as a problem itself, data is not going to influence. We have to let them experience things, which means we have to let them experiment, try out new things, and then figure out how, based on the data, not again from someone else's data, within their environment, so that they have gone through the experience, they learn from that experience, and now they can improve. At the end of the day, what we are saying is we have to test our assumptions, test our perceptions that we have created, and only then the change is going to be possible. And the change is still not going to be easy because we still have to overcome those constraints. Mental models is one of them. There are certain constraints that we may not even know are there unless and until we start experimenting. So the first step when you're talking about overcoming that immunity to change is to first identify what that immunity is. So what exactly immunity? We have been hearing this word, we have to build our immunity. We are in a situation with the whole pandemic thing going on. And what exactly is that immunity? Immunity is all about protecting yourself from something that is alien to us. And when you're talking about immunity to change, we are talking about keeping ourselves immune from that change, protecting ourselves from the change, knowingly or unknowingly, right? So that immunity is like this. As a kid, I used to do it all the time. I would get on my dad's bike, and then I would put the accelerator and put the brake at the same time. I'm spending my energy, I'm spending the fuel. There is a lot of effort going on, but the bike does not move. Why? Because there are completely contradictory impacts. If you notice, that's exactly what our immune system is doing to us. A lot of times, when we talk about changing things, say for example, someone had to go through a transplant, and we say, oh, their body did not really accept the new organ that was transplanted. Why? Because your body feels that it is an alien thing for you. So the immunity system goes up. The red alerts start, and they say, push it away. Why? Because our body has developed an immune system to prevent ourselves from alien objects. And that are the things that lead to autoimmune disease. When our immune system itself starts kind of acting against us, contradicting to the change that we want to bring about, even if the change is good for us. So we have to overcome that immunity to change, right? And that happens by first uncovering the purpose, then identifying what are those perceptions, what are our big assumptions, what are those mental models, and then either figure out how do we go about bringing the change. So either figure out what type of people are we dealing with. Are we working with individuals? Are we working with teams? Because working with individuals, dynamics are different. Working with team, the dynamics are different. And working with organizations, dynamics are different as well. So we cannot really bring about a change alone. Because if there's one small change that happens in one part of the system, it can impact the system as a whole. So if we have to be successful, we cannot really zoom in and bring about change only in one area. We have to have a holistic picture. We have to have a big picture, and we should not look for global optimization, not look for local optimization, but we should look for global optimization, where we are talking about change as a whole. Only then the change will be successful, right? So yes, we can move on to the next one, Snehamai. Thank you. Right, so that was about how can we go about coloring outside the lines? How can we try to become liminal thinkers? A couple of facilitation tools that we learned about. We talked about SPA model, we talked about immunity to change, we talked about the ladder of house. We also talked about how to verify our big assumptions. So yeah, all of these things. If you have any questions, I'm open to take some questions now. All right, thank you. Yeah, feel free to get connected with me on LinkedIn, and then feel free to ask me more questions there as well.
Apeksha, you have you're not showing your video?
Okay.
So, Apeksha, I think there are a lot of questions
There are quite
coming
a few
in.
questions
So
coming
Jaya
up.
wants to know.
Sammy, are you going to go through them? Because I think you're on
Right.
mute.
So no, I'm not on mute actually, but you can go through them.
Okay, fine. So how to identify the different types of personas? That's a very interesting question. It's not something that is happening overnight. A couple of things that I observe is what influences those people. As in, say for example, if I approach them, okay, let's go for a cup of coffee. How do they respond to it? So it does not really happen overnight. It kind of builds over a period of time. So when you start interacting with people, you start understanding the body language, you start understanding how to respond to the questions, what type of answers are they operating from, the blame frame or an outcome frame. And using this information, you will be able to identify how to understand, like whether they are moved towards type of a people or a stay away type of people. So that is one of the ways that we can think about. Okay, so there are a couple of questions about the other model that I was talking about, immunity to change. So the immunity map is one model where we try to identify our immune system. And that immune system helps us reveal our assumptions and, of course, test our assumptions. So starting from identifying the commitment and activities that we do that are against that commitment without our knowledge. And then once we identify those things, identifying the competing commitments that I might have. Say, for example, one of the most famous commitments that we make typically towards the end of every single year is like to become fit. And we'll join gym and we'll join yoga and we'll go for a walk, we'll have healthy diet, we'll sleep on time. All of these commitments. So at the end of the day, your commitment is to become fit. And what is the level? I'm totally committed to, like 5 on 5. All right. So once I identify that, what is it that I'm doing or what is it that I'm not doing that is stopping me from achieving that commitment? And that says, okay, well, I work 7 days a week. So whenever I get a chance to relax, maybe I just want to relax over there. That could be one of the competing things. Oh, I love pani puri. So maybe I want to go and have a plate of pani puri whenever I get a chance. So that's an action that I'm taking, which is completely contradicting what I want to achieve. So that's something that I'm doing today that is stopping me from achieving that. Now, what are those competing commitments? What is leading me to do things like that is stopping me achieving that commitment? Well, it could be because I work so much, I want to take rest. So my commitment is that I'm also committed to taking rest. And I'm also committed to enjoying myself watching some TV. So that's a competing commitment. And why am I doing that? Because at some place, I have a worry. That worry is indicating that maybe I might not be able to do it unknowingly. So those are unconscious biasnesses that you might have. And when we have this unconscious biasness, when we want to overcome that, we will and if at all we have to overcome that, we first have to understand what is causing that biasness. And that is our big assumptions. So once we identify the big assumptions, then we can either gather data to test those assumptions, or we can run experiments to figure out how to overcome that. So of course, that's a whole course, immunity to change. But yeah, that's in short. Okay. Okay, so how have you brought a change into someone in leadership? Yeah, I'll keep the story very, very short. This was probably my very initial experiences when I started using Scrum, maybe the oldest that I remember formally knowing Scrum. So I was in an organization where we had everything manual. So right from testing, it was a pretty small product that we were working on. Our customers would change things every week, and we would have just deployed something and we had to go back and undo things. So obviously it was a mess. At that point of time, I probably did not even know that there is something called as extreme programming practices that we can use. So then you can imagine, I was probably in my high school. So when I was doing this extra work, I realized that one of the things that we were not able to do was meet the customer expectations. And one of the things that I try to introduce, that I personally used to do it at my home, is to kind of simplify things. When I feel that the same thing I have to do again and again multiple times, that is wastage of time and not helping me generate some value for myself as an individual, why would someone want to do it? Someone other also want to do it. So I ran an experiment. I tried out new things. That's when the first time I explored some of the practices from extreme programming, by the way. My way of bringing about change in the leadership is by trying out something new on my local machine, and then going and showing it to my manager and my professor as such. So at leadership level, that change happened when actually they saw the outcome. They could actually see the lead times drastically reducing from 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, depending upon whether it was a full or a partial release or a deployment that we were making, to coming down to 20 minutes. I mean, that's huge. That's about running an experiment and then gathering data to showcase that, right? Okay. Okay, so the ladder of house. It's not the ladder of house, the ladder of how, H-O-W, house. And the ladder of house is one of the techniques that we use predominantly when we are trying to bring about any change, whether it is digital transformation, whether it is personal transformation. What it does is it helps us uncover the purpose. As I was saying, when you start asking, so let's say, for example, if you go, let's take this example, you want to change your job. If I come and ask you, why do you want to change the job? You already are in a defensive mode, like, I know what I'm supposed to do. So that's that resistance to change that comes into picture. So we are reactive. And that's one of the things that we talk about when we are talking about organizational transformation is reactance. And people react when you actually question them point blank, because you are making them defensive, which means you're already started operating from the blame frame. The idea is to ease the endowment, which means when people are strongly connected with something, when people feel that I don't really want to let go of something, or perceptions, or belief systems, things that we have at home, and that's when change becomes difficult. So observe that. First understand, first understand what's the real purpose. So instead of asking the question why, ask the question from the outcome frame. It's doing the same thing, but figuring out a different way of doing it. And then you are trying to uncover the purpose. You're not trying to figure out what led them to it, but you're trying to figure out how to move forward. And that is what helps us move ahead, right? So that is what ladder of house help us with. In fact, I can share a quick link in our chat group that can actually, there is a video, feel free to take a look at it in your leisure time. That can definitely help you, all right? So that we ping. Okay, we have time for another one question. Okay. Okay, without sound. Okay, a big challenge for me is how to raise the importance of change, trying out new way of doing it, like existing things without sounding like a silly kid or a rebel. Yeah, it looks like that. Interesting. Here's the thing. That is where we need to go back to, being silly, because as kids, we were always like that, and we would always question everything. We would always try to get a different perspective, because we were not really bound by our mental models. No one could say that, okay, this is the only way of doing it. As soon as someone will tell that to us, we'll try out a different way of doing it immediately, right at that moment. But we have to do it in a contained way, and we might use certain tools like these, like we talked about the SPA or immunity change or ladder of house. Using such type of tools, we can kind of give it a little bit of structure, a little bit of more alignment to that real purpose, that shared vision for change that we talk about, right? So using these tools can definitely help us move a little bit forward. Okay. All right. Am I missing anything If you want something specific that I might have missed, feel free to post the question again so that I can answer. Okay.
Right. So thanks
I believe
everybody.
that is it.
It was a really wonderful session, and honestly, now SPA will have one more.
Oh
meeting.
yeah, so there's
Thank
another
you so
question.
much, Apeksha,
In the
for
SPA model, what does the address part lead to? So when you're talking about addressing, we are talking about addressing the constraints. Now, these constraints could be the issues, or could be in the form of organizational constraints, like policies that we follow, or the processes that we have in place that might stop us from being liminal thinkers, like going above and beyond. Those are the constraints that we are referring to. And if we at all have to address the constraints, we have to first bring awareness about those constraints. So that is the address part that we are talking to. Thank you.
Thank you, Apeksha.
All right,
So
so
I really
quickly, I
enjoyed the
just
session.
post my LinkedIn URL just in case if you want to get in touch with me, and feel free to get in touch with me. I always connect with people. I always keep on answering a lot of questions. So thank you. That's me. I am there on Twitter too. So let's see. Yeah, I'm there. Let's get connected. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Great.
Please remember to attend the poll and, just show how much you enjoyed the session. Thanks so much. Thanks, Apeksha.
Thank you. I kind of missed what you said. I think you were on mute.
Are you able to hear me?
Now, yes.
Okay. I just said thanks. I enjoyed the whole session.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So,
I'm glad.
especially since I was about to, your session was a surprise to me. It came suddenly to me because I was thinking somebody else was there. So I actually had a really, really nice time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. If there are no other questions, I think we can wind down.
Thank you. It was a surprise for me as well. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Stay safe. I can directly leave now, right, Sneha?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.